You could ask the missus. I am never late for nothing. Never.
If well, you know the old saying, if you're 15 minutes early, it means you're already 15 minutes late.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
That's
So
right. Even when I umpire, I get to the field an hour before the game
that's right. So
because
um,
I allow for a flat tire, this, that, traffic, anything.
yep. I mean, I try to really do that too. I mean, I learned that years ago. So all right. Well, I mean, we got a lot to cover. It's
I'm
gonna be
ready
a
when you
long
are.
one. Okay. Here we go. Three, two, one. You know what? Let me do it over because I gotta have a quiet section. Here we go. Three, two, one.
On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, Staccato P4 drama, shooting from the Coyote Door, will DOGE uncover Republican corruption, and Trump's mugshot is back.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is episode 365 of the John 1911 podcast. Today is Saturday, February 15th at 1:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As normal, we have to timestamp stuff because Donald Trump moves faster than a bolt of lightning. Kraken was supposed to be here, but unfortunately, he is sick. So we are going to do a combination both gun and politics podcast. And so Danny's just going to have to hang with me for a little bit before we get into the politics. Because once chief political correspondent Danny starts talking, it's never going to stop. How you been?
Insulted with that, but
Right.
and when we get to the gun part, I actually have some gun content. Thank you. So,
Yes, you do. So,
I
dude,
mean,
our group chat is so busy talking about the stuff with Donald Trump that I'm gonna get a letter from Verizon. They're gonna be like, "Yo, we're gonna have to make a new tier for you." You're
yeah, yeah. Well, like some of those in, uh, I don't even know what pronoun or adjective to put in front of them, but you know, telling the people because of Doge to take to the streets and to bear arms, and that's insurrection. Why the hell doesn't DOJ come in and elected person or not, snatch him right out? That's insane stuff. It's gotten insane.
well, there is a legal reason that I can quote as to why that is. So, have you ever heard of there's a Tom Clancy book called Clear and Present Danger, and they made a movie out of it. Do you remember that
Yes, I
name,
do very
Clear and Present
well.
Danger? And that's a phrase that's used. Well, Clear and Present Danger used to be a legal doctrine that was used to prosecute people for committing violence or imminent threats of violence. And so what happened was there was a Supreme Court case called Ohio v. Brandenburg, and Brandenburg was a Ku Klux Klan member, and he gave some crazy bullshit speech, even had made up words in it, like revengeance or something. So it's like we don't even know what that word means. So anyway, he comes up, he starts giving all these crazy speeches, and he was arrested for basically inciting violence. Or there was some crazy law in Ohio, and it went up to the Supreme Court. And basically, the new standard is called the brand. I think it's the Brandenburg. What do they call it? The Brandenburg standard or the Brandenburg. I can't remember the term they use, but basically, so like when um when Donald Trump was saying things like we're gonna be very upset at the Capitol for if Vice President Pence doesn't do whatever, that isn't Donald Trump like it's saying like imminently we're going to do something. And so when Schumer got out there after the striking down of the Roe v. Wade standard for the Supreme Court, he actually named individual Supreme Court justices
Yes, he
and said they're
did.
going to reap the whirlwind. And people have interpreted that as he was threatening the lives or encouraging people to threaten the lives of Supreme Court justices. However, under the Brandenburg Standard, he wasn't saying like, "Let's go kill these motherfuckers right now." So like if the speech levels, the standards of what people can get away with under the Brandenburg standard is basically you have to basically get up there and flat out say, I'm going to go kill you right now. And then they can, arrest you for inciting violence. But if you're well below that, that's you don't meet the Brandenburg standard. So the Brandenburg test, maybe they call it. So
Well,
there. You asked, so there's your
yeah.
answer.
Well, no, that's very. Thank you for the answer, but let's just say it's sure thinly veiled in my book.
Oh, it is. Like what's her, Maxine Waters is still in Congress saying crazy shit. She talks about we're going to get in your faces and we're going to get them in the streets and they're not going to. I can't remember the exact phrases she used, but it was just like, legally she can't be charged. I mean, honestly, if we could charge her, I'm sure people could charge us for saying things on the podcast. So be careful what you wish for. But
Yeah.
like I'm gonna kick your ass. But um, it's obvious what they're trying to say, and it's the First Amendment standard. It's the Brandenburg standard or the Brandenburg whatever thing. So
Speaking about your pal Maxine, did you see what she said during a hearing the other day?
was this the one where she said we don't know what Musk has on us?
Yes, she did. Boy, talk about a Freudian slip. you know,
Dude.
and that's exactly what it was. That's
Hmm.
exactly what. Why do you? I seen a fantastic meme. All the people that are accusing Musk and Doge and his team of all this, not one of them has ever came out and said Musk is a liar or Doge is a liar. Not one of them.
Well, a couple they keep moving the ball on Musk, and Trump and Musk move so quickly. Like they're like, Musk isn't. They're not saying Musk isn't an employee anymore because I can't remember what they call it, but there is a. Again, I'm doing the Brandenburg conversation again. There was a classification of employee that was created maybe in the 90s, but it's like a special temporary status government employee that it used to be for like it was 89 days, so like basically you couldn't do 90 days, like so 3 months, and then so
Right,
they made it 89 days, and then they decided at some point that was too short to bring people in, so now it's like instead of 120 days it's 119 days, or maybe it's like 121 days. It's hooked off of 3, 6, 9, month
right,
type thing. And so the idea is that the government somebody can be like a special status government employee. They can come in for a short period of time with a level of expertise to do certain things for the government, but they don't have to divest themselves of all their holdings, their business interests, and put stuff in blind trust and do all this crazy stuff. Because what that would do is it would keep the government from enjoying the benefit of hiring the best and brightest to do special projects for the government. So Musk is probably has that status now as that kind of employee. Whereas I know there's a podcaster who's way bigger than us. It's called I think it's called the All In podcast. They're primarily financial people, but there's a guy that was on that podcast. He may have worked with Musk or Peter Thiel. He may have been a PayPal guy. Um, what um is his hold on, I didn't turn this thing to do not disturb. My apologies. I sound like somebody else on a podcast. So um uh 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 I can't remember the guy's name. He's working, but he's this big business guy. He's worth many millions of dollars, and he's under that special status, so he doesn't have to divest of all of his shit. So, and then the other thing they were trying to say that Musk doesn't have security clearance. And it's like, well, I don't know about that. He makes rockets for the government. I bet you he does have security clearance of some kind. And
right,
sure enough, he has a top secret security clearance. Not that all top secret security clearance works for every situation, because there's, classified, secret, top secret code word. And then there's classifications that are so secret you're not even allowed to know what they're called. Um, um, and like I've said this on the pod before, it used to be, and these secret classifications change. They even change what they're called. But there was a time that the guy who would carry the football for the president, they're carrying the little launch code, zero Halliburton briefcases.
Right.
Those military members, their security clearance used to be called Yankee White. So whatever that was, and it's changed now. Like Delta Force, everyone calls Delta Force, or everyone calls the Navy SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 6. They're not called that. They're like it's the last we heard, Delta was called CAG, Combat Applications Group, and then SEAL Team 6 was called Dev Group. And they may not even be called that anymore. People just call them because, they're so secret that they change the names of these things, so you really make it hard to track them down
Right.
and know what they are.
And,
So,
speaking about Musk, here's the thing, he's not getting paid. The team of, we'll say, younger adults he has working for him.
big balls.
Well, I love that guy. But anyway, like two or three of them graduated MIT in 2 years. And for people to come out and say they're stupid, it really makes one wonder. You know what I mean? It's like these guys are I don't want to call them hackers, but they're the guys that could write these programs. And if they can't identify a line item, then I would think something was wrong, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more than a handful of them. I think there's a lot more.
Well,
Um,
it's up to 99. It started with 10, then it was 25. Now there are 25 or 100 in the program. I heard that yesterday.
okay, well, that's good to know because I haven't really. I've been kind of out of the loop with the stuff. But they're just coming in right as far as I can tell right now. In my again, computer science stuff has changed so much to back when I was in it. So some of this. Even the software languages that people use now, I've never heard of them. But like Python, I was like, I don't know how to do Python. Python didn't exist when I was in college. Um, as far as I can tell, as I would guess, they're just basically doing sequels. Hold on. Basically, all they're doing is they're running reports in databases. They're just basically they're either exporting data and then running searches on that data, or they're running searches in databases and then taking that data and analyzing another program. They're not like for example, like when Musk came out, like I guess he was in the Oval Office and he came out and said that we are, maybe someone else said this, but we are definitely cutting Social Security benefits to our most vulnerable senior citizens, those that are 150 years old or older.
Exactly. And they actually
And
found them on the rolls still.
well, yeah, they found them because that's a database, that's a data analysis search. That is not an audit. That is not like a forensic accountant coming in. Not that a forensic accountant wouldn't do that, but that's not forensic accounting. That's basic data mining right there.
Right.
That tells me that they're just doing basic queries. But what's interesting is if they're able to do basic queries and they're finding some of this weird shit that easily. It's like, why didn't anybody else do some of this stuff? Um, I can't go into too much detail here, but I can tell the listener that I am not unfamiliar with a person who engaged in a long spree of multi-state criminal activity, who was funding her lifestyle in this criminal activity by continuing to collect her dead parents. The best way I can call it is UAW benefits. And she got away with it until it got to the point where her dead parents were getting over 100 years old.
Wow.
And they somebody called somebody, and I think the Social Security administrator, she went to jail and she's dead now. But that was a huge fucking mess. And the only reason that got caught was because it got to be so far out of the range that it was flagged by somebody. UAW runs pensions, and it's like, yo, what's going on with this person that's 115 years old? How come they aren't on television? Like who's the oldest living member of the UAW pension plan, or the whatever GM Motors pension plan? Let's do a feature on them, in the monthly magazine. Like, this is a great story, and then like this person's been dead for 25 years. Oh fuck. And so it just tells me there's a lot more to do here. I think a lot of what they're finding is just skimming off the top. This does not look like they've even got close to a deep dive.
I
Have you
agree.
seen have you seen the reports in Washington about all the real estate that's for sale?
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. What was the headline I read? Prime property on the Potomac. Put your bid in now.
Yeah. Some of that is a little unfair, because the reality is, whenever you have big um, administration changeovers, all the Republicans come into town, all the Republican workers, all the lobbyists, and then you've got people that just want to come in to, like, they've got a whole new program when it comes to dealing with Trump or Musk or the DOD, and all these contracts and all this stuff. So you have all. I strongly suspect that there's not going to be a huge real estate bubble burst in Washington, D.C. I'm not really familiar with any, and I'm quite familiar with Washington. I mean, here's a clue: John 1911's office phone number is a Washington, D.C. phone number. Like, there's a clue for you. So we'll see. But it's interesting. But if you have all these mid-level workers that are looking to get laid off, they're taking buyouts. I mean, it's expensive to live in DC.
Well,
I'm telling you,
a-
DC's expensive as hell.
and what about the um, 75,000 that were on probation? All got the axe yesterday. Also, did you see that?
So I heard reports that people on probation were getting the axe, but I have also heard that the government was offering the buyout package, and it might have been up to 60 or 70,000 people that took that buyout package. Are you sure you're not
No, no,
transposing the
no.
numbers?
These are two separate issues. The
Really?
the buyout package went, and then supposedly an additional, if I read this correctly, 75,000 people nationwide that are on probation all got the axe too.
I've heard some rumors that there's some people that Trump authorized to either be let go or to take buyouts, that they're rescinding them because they're realizing, yo, you're too important. We can't buy you out. Um, and then there's even some issues there, like, how do I say this? So you have people that work for the CIA, and they're technically employees for this. They fall under the CIA umbrella, but they are undercover,
Right.
and so they may. And when I say undercover, I'm not saying they work a fruit stand in Kazakhstan. They may be undercover as, I don't know, like, mechanics for the State Department. Like, I mean, I'm just making some shit up. Like, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right. No,
Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, and there's like all this weirdness there. So there's, like some like I think you'd have a real hard time on some of this, like, just wholesale, just cutting people loose or writing them a check, because you'd even blow their cover, and you may not even allow them. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot there's obviously not talking about. And the Democrats are so thirsty trying to find that problem. Um, and I'll tell you what, this brings up a thing on the Facebook. I published a meme um, that was, I can't remember what it was, something uh, with Doge. Uh, like something with people that are so concerned about Doge, or you know, something something, but it brought in, I don't know, 100,000 some people, and all these comments and all these commenters, and a lot of them are libs because the meme went viral. And so I had to go through, and we typically run a pretty, and this gives me a chance to talk about this because it's on the to-do list, because we have a lot of new listeners and followers. We typically run a pretty tight ship when it comes to comment moderation. I'm way more strict, obviously, on the John 1911 website, but we no one crazy ever shows up there. I haven't had a full blown crazy person show up at the John 1911 website in about 12 years, and I haven't had a inappropriately stupid firearms industry person show up at the John 1911 website in about 8 years. And I'm not going to name that person, but that person is still in the business and in the community, and he's still banned from the website for his behavior. But but with these political memes and some of this stuff, to be honest, I post this kind of stuff, one, because it kind of breaks up the gun content a little bit. But number two, it's a way to drive traffic to our social media because it will break through to non-gun people or people that maybe Facebook doesn't think would be interested in our content. But they come through. They come for the meme, but they stay for the guns. So I mean, I'm no, Mama
Excuse
didn't
me.
raise no fool over here. So, but I had to go through. But you will notice I left people a lot of leeway in the comments. On that meme where they're kind of attacking each other, attacking me, saying stuff. But I did go through, and if it was not an individual, but if it was a page, like they were like these, I don't know, like anti-capitalist, whatever, to retake America.
Right.
Like they're just pushing their propaganda, like delete ban, delete ban, delete ban, all that kind of stuff. But we had this one woman, she came in, and I could tell it was an individual person, and she was just apoplectic about USAID. And she's like, there's people starving, there's American ships stuck with food. They're supposed to be for starving people. And and it's like all this stuff. And I said, ma'am, like, with all due respect, you got to understand, they haven't really done anything in USAID. They've gone through, but they've identified stuff. They technically shut down USAID because they technically could, because it wasn't created by Congress. But what they were planning on doing was, they're not going to, and my favorite one, this is my favorite thing they found in USAID. It was steroid hamster fighting. Do you remember
Oh.
that one?
Oh yeah. I was gonna bet on the red corner.
Yeah, the steroid hamster fighting. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the United States Agency for International Development? So it's like, what does that have to do with that? It's like, whatever. So, and she's just like, I said, ma'am, so you got to understand that, that they're getting rid of the stupid shit, and then the stuff that they feel falls under the United States Agency for International Development purview, like maybe giving food to starving people, or maybe giving money to people to the benefit or the goals of the foreign policy of the United States, that they're going to bring that in under the State Department. And apparently there was, so it's like, this isn't all going away, so just chill the fuck out. And then she came back and she goes, I know people on the ground who are starving and they're not getting paid. And I go, okay, so people on the ground, tell me, something's going to happen. I told her, look, something's going to happen. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to break. And it's going to come out, and the media is going to find it. The Democrats are going to find it. The anti-Trumpers are going to find it. And they're going to pull that out, and they're going to put it in the media, and they're going to whack Trump over the head with it and say, this is why you can't do all this. But the good news is it would immediately get fixed. So please tell me who this person is, what this program is, where is this happening? And she couldn't. I caught her. She's speaking hyperbolically, watching MSNBC and CNN, mostly MSNBC, and she was just speaking in tropes and bullshit. And then she basically got to the point, she goes, let's just talk again in 6 months. I'm like, that's perfectly fair. Talk to me again in 6 months. And this was all public, and you can find it on that meme. But that was one of the few of the rational conversations with a lib that we had on that I had to go through and, like, really wackadoo people.
I know. I have a relative that is an ultra liberal, and anything that they read online, they take it as gospel. You know that, and I asked. I said, "Do you ever do any reading beyond the meme? Any research whatsoever to find out if this is true or not?" Well, no. And I was told their favorite website is Occupy Democrat. So that sort of narrowed it down for me.
Well, the right does it too. So, like, here's the thing. This is a story that's going around today. So, there's the girl, Caitlin Collins. She works for CNN.
Right.
Um, Guys, she's currently single. She's apparently on a dating app for like successful individuals who, can get background checked and join this private celebrity dating app. So, if that qualifies as you and you think she's hot, you can go out there and meet her. Just telling you, this is public knowledge. I'm not ratting her out. But, there was the right wing media today and yesterday ran with this story about Caitlin Collins basically super pissed off and upset that Donald Trump has his mugshot in, quote, the Oval Office, which is really in the outer Oval. It's a hallway that's off. The Oval Office has multiple rooms to it.
I did see that.
Wait. See, here's the thing. Yeah, they're like, it's like you can make an argument where it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, fuck you, Caitlin Collins. That picture served you when you thought it was great and you put it all over your media, and you probably some of you assholes probably hung that picture in your house and put it on your websites. But now that Trump has it up in the Oval Office, you're like super offended and pissed off and want to memory hole that. And it's like they're going on and on and on how she's the new Caitlin, or she's the new Jim Acosta. And not that she hasn't done shit to act like a jackass in front of Trump. But if you look and see, she did a little video on that that photograph. It's a newsprint from the New York Post, and they have it framed and mounted and framed framed and hung, to be technically correct, in this hallway off the Oval Office. And all she did was she did a video saying, you will notice this photograph in the side. We've never had a president with a mugshot before, and we've certainly never had, as far as I can recall, a mugshot in the Oval Office. And that's all she said. And here's the thing. She didn't say any of that shit. She wasn't apoplectic. She wasn't talking about how inappropriate it was. She didn't say any freaking thing that the right wing media was accusing her of with this photograph. They basically wrote headlines what they wanted her to say so they could make her wrong. And it's a lie. It's a huge lie, because I was like, well, what did she say? So I went and I watched it. And here's the best part. If you watch her video and everything she said about the video, a president being arrested, a mug shot, blah 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 blah, and Sean Hannity said the exact same thing, it would be like, yes, Trump's sticking it to the man. And it's like she really basically was making the argument that Trump is sticking it to the man. And but it's same video, same verbiage, same coverage, but the left and right media want to run with shit and make it what they want. And we have to be careful with that too on our side. Just
Well,
saying.
that is a fantastic segue. Case in point, did you see what Rachel Maddow got in trouble for with her lie the other day? She
No, I
she
don't pay attention to
well, that's all over the news. You need to get out of the
I
field
don't
more.
watch the news.
Well, you have me do it. But anyway,
Yeah, I do. That's actually your job.
well, anyway, her headline, beginning of the show was Musk enriches himself with a $300 million Tesla armored truck contract. And she made it out to be that he was enriching himself. He got this contract and all the other shit, till it came out the contract was awarded by Biden in his waning days. Then she had to do a full retraction. but to exactly what you said, they right side, left side, they get these headlines that they think are going to draw viewers, and they run with it, only to do a
The
retraction later.
the fallacy is called too good to check. And it's like, this is right up, this meets all my priors, this meets all my political opinions, this meets all of my worldview outlook, and so I'm just going to report it. And look, we're not perfect over here. We have absolutely made this mistake in the past, and when we make this mistake, we are never ever going to make that mistake again. And the listener doesn't know this, but Danny will admit to this. How many times, Dan, I mean, it's countless. Have you sent me something and I go, run that down,
Yeah,
confirm that?
many.
Uh, That happens a lot. That shit happens a lot. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I need a more I need another source on this one. Or I got to see the original source. So,
Oh
but
yeah, case in point when they were going to use the condoms for balloon bombs, and you said run this down. Then I sent you the literature.
you did. That was correct. I was like, he sent me this, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? 50. First of all, it was like 50 million for condoms. I'm like, this just doesn't seem right. But that's why we have DOGE. Apparently, that is right. But and here's the thing. Gives me a way to talk about something more pop culture. This armored car for the Tesla thing. As soon as I heard the Tesla armored car thing, I was like, yo, that's going to be bad. That's not going to work. As someone who's been around armored cars and dealt with armored cars, and I've been in armored cars that look like regular cars, not Bearcats, but armored vehicles that look like street vehicles, they are heavy. Everything in them's different. Like everything is upgraded, and like they get, and I mean, these things, you're lucky to get 70,000 miles out of them because they're so heavy, they wear themselves out. And it's like, these armored Tesla trucks or armored vehicles, that it doesn't matter what it is, they get so little range. They get so little, they may have the torque to technically move an armored car, an armored, whatever. They're going to have a range of like maybe, even if you put giant ass batteries in them. I mean, if you took a Tesla Cybertruck and you up armored it, I don't know technically what this is true, but I'm just kind of guessing, and you were to up armor it to make it truly armored, different levels of armor to accept different types of attacks, anywhere from small arms to VBIDs, or IEDs, that you'd have to put such a big battery in it that you might even have to compromise the space, the human space, the crew cab space in the vehicle. And even then, like, it might have a range of, say, maybe 40 miles. Or like, I don't know, like, it's just like, there's just no way. Like, this is a zero possibility this is going to work. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I've gotten on this podcast before and I have said that these EV mandates are bullshit. And these CAFE standards and what the government has done is ruining these car companies. It's ruining vehicles. DEF fluid is ruined diesel. I don't even own a diesel truck, and my tractor doesn't take DEF fluid. But I'm like, I can't wait. I want Trump to get rid of DEF fluid, and low flow toilets. But but but
Well,
but just this week, talk about the armored car thing. Just in the past 10 days, Lamborghini has come out and they've said they are not doing an EV. DOGE came out in the past, I don't know, 5 days, and they have strongly hinted, that the V8 engine for the Charger is coming back because nobody's buying these electric cars.
no, they're not.
Ford has some kind of V8 Mustang that is apparently like a supercar. I mean, it costs as much as a supercar, and they're racing it, all over the world. And I think it's doing well, but I mean, I don't pay attention to it because I think it's two or three. I think it's $300,000. But it's like everyone's interested in that car. BMW just came out. I don't know, within this week. BMW came out this week and they said they are bringing back V8 engines to the United States and to the Middle East because people in these places won't buy these bullshit cars with these bullshit engines in them that can't do anything. And then Porsche announced this week they're laying off 1,900 workers. I haven't seen the official press release in detail as to why Porsche would be laying off 1,900 workers. But if you ever get a chance to drive around any Porsche dealer in the United States, you will notice there is a metric shit ton of electric Taycans on these lots that they are not selling. And so
Let's
Porsche is also supposed to come out with an all-electric Boxer or Cayman, like the Boxers are convertible to the Cayman. You know, their little car
right.
that's smaller than a 911. Right now, there's people smarter than me that watch this stuff that are like, that's probably not going to happen. And apparently, Porsche is also basically considering just going back to gas engines. I mean,
Well,
like here, so and
oh,
hold on, here's one more thing. So, like all the cars that come out now with these cafe standards, it's all these trucks have these six-cylinder engines with turbochargers in them because it's the only way to get the power to also meet the cafe standards. And these things are going to, you're not going to get the life out of these vehicles.
no, you're not.
Porsche, Porsche, the generation after the 911 I have, this is how much I know about Porsche now compared to when I bought one. My car is a naturally aspirated 2015 911, whatever the engine is. I don't know what the size is. I don't know much about Porsche, but I do know the generation after mine, the 992. Even the base car of a Porsche has turbochargers in it. It used to be if you wanted a turbocharged Porsche, you had to buy a 911 Turbo. That was the high-end Porsche. But for Porsche to keep meeting these bullshit standards, they have to make these engines smaller so when they're just running normal that they get that kind of gas mileage. But to get the power that people want, they have to put turbochargers in them. And it's like, I mean, this is all getting kind of fucked up. And I predicted years ago, I'm not saying I thought it would be Porsche and Lambo and BMW leading the way, all these European, car companies leading the way against EVs. But I was like, there is no way this shit's going to work. There is, I don't care what California says. I don't care what the EU says. I don't care what BlackRock says. I'm citing BlackRock because somebody at BlackRock tried to tell me this one time. And it's like, this is bullshit. And this is collapsing. And the idea, and this is the thing that people are missing. The idea that we all know that this electric shit doesn't work, that somebody in the Biden administration gave $400 million to Tesla for armored cars, okay, tells me that they are so fucked up. They're so committed to wasting money because right now the State Department has a huge problem because you've got all these up armored diplomatic security service vehicles around the world that look like low profile vehicles, but they got to up armor them up and like you don't have the V8 engines anymore, and like it's like what are they going to do? Like they don't. So it's like, and this is the real story isn't people saying Donald Trump is enriching Elon Musk with a $400 million contract. The real story is who the fuck in the federal government was stupid enough to give Tesla $400 million to solve a problem with a product that everybody knows you can't solve with that product, which has caused the problem that you want to solve. Nobody's talking about that.
No, no. Oh, getting real quick back to Porsche. I believe you're 100% correct because I I just read a car magazine that was laying around a relative's house, and the Carrera S, is
Danny,
what
Danny,
what.
Danny, you've told everybody on the podcast your
Well,
relationship
well,
with Lamborghini.
I'm talking about a magazine now. But and
Okay.
I don't know shit about Porsches. But
Okay.
the Carrera S is a base entry, whatever it is. But then
Yeah.
up to the Carrera
Or
G.
Carrera is, yeah.
All right, but now the Carrera GTS is now a $40,000 premium package on that car. So the Porsche must know what's going on because look at the premiums they're starting to get.
Oh, there is a so your relative, I think we've said what the relative is, but there's a family member of yours that has a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Dude, we've published it on the
I
podcast.
know, I know. But
Okay, so no, but so I'm not saying anything else. But and like Lamborghini has an off-road Lamborghini now, like what I would call a safari car. I can't remember what they call it.
me neither.
Storado? Is it the
Yes,
Storado? Okay.
Serato, whatever the hell it is.
Porsche, we used to call the Porsche off-road Porsches safaris because they would go from Paris to Dakar, but you can't have that race anymore because it's too dangerous to race through Africa now. But um, Porsche just released a car called the Dakar, and said it's a safari, but basically it's a jacked up off road. It's got a big skid plate on the bottom. The MSRP on that car is $250,000, and they're getting $350,000. They're getting $100,000 over sticker, either at the dealer or people trying to sell them on a secondary market. Like there is a world of difference between the price of my 911 and a 911 Dakar. I mean, there's a $200,000 difference. I mean,
And
it's
and you need to be
yeah.
on the list if you want one.
I think they're all gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a rumor. Well, here's the difference between here's the difference that I've learned between say Porsche and Ferrari in particular and Lamborghini probably as well. So they sold 2,500 of these Dakar off-road Porsches. And so, they're jacked up. You can get a roof rack on them, which would be cool to take to the John 911 range. I gotta be honest with you. Strapping a rifle up there and driving to be like fucking awesome. But
Well,
anyway, um,
maybe I'll bring the one we have and show up to the range in it.
oh, now it's we. Okay, all right, okay,
The one that's in the
dude.
family.
I we will trailer it down here, and I would even be willing to get to buy special insurance to cover that car for one day. I would get a rider to cover that car for one day so we could just tool it around in that field in front of the barn and take video with it. With
what a
you and
photo
Mrs. Danny
shoot.
hanging out of it.
No. I number one, I can't fit in it. To be honest with you, you could probably. You're bigger, but you're thinner. I I can't I can't even get in the son of a bitch. The
You
seats feel
can,
like
but
a the seats feel like
you
a
can
jock strap up my ass.
because you're used to driving salt trucks. Let me help you out here. I learned this. I learned this 40 years ago as a teenager at a car dealer salesman guy, and he told me the trick on how to get in and out of these little sports cars. He said what people do, the mistake is they try to get in them the way they get into a normal car. They put their foot in, or they climb up, or they climb down. What you need to do, and this will serve everybody well in life, if you ever run a like gentlemen, you're out the club, you meet some hot chick. For some reason, she thinks you're great. She's like, "Would you like to go for a ride in my sports car?" And you're like, "Yeah." And you get out there, and it's like she's got some exotic car, and you don't want to look like a moron getting in and out of it. You want to look like you've done this before. The trick to getting out of any of these cars is to sit in them the way you sit on a toilet. What you do is you turn completely around, you drop your butt into onto the sill or onto the seat, then you slide in and swing your legs over. You have to get in and out of the cars. When you see a woman wearing a dress try to get out of a car, she swings her legs so she doesn't flash her coochie to the cameras. You
Right.
have to do that as a guy to get in and out of these exotic cars. You drop your ass, seriously, turn around, go up to open the door open, and think you're like, I'm going to go sit on the toilet. You will sit on the toilet, drop into the seat, swing your legs in, and you'll get in that car. I guarantee it. And you know what? I will pay the rider for the day. It'll be a set. It'll be a short that we will film. Danny sits on the Lambo toilet. That might be the title of the podcast. There is
Now, Mrs.
there.
Danny has no problem getting in and out.
I've got a picture of her in it. Yeah, of course she
Oh, that's
can.
right.
Yeah.
She was driving it and she just pulled up. I hate those damn paddle shifter shit.
Are the Oh, that's right, because it doesn't. It's got the F1. It doesn't have the clutch in it. The last time I drove a Lamborghini, it had a clutch in it.
Now this doesn't. This
Yeah,
doesn't.
so I can't remember. I can't remember what I was saying. So
Oh, about somebody getting in and out of it.
Yeah, so anyway, there's your life advice, gentlemen. If you if you get a chance to um, get out of exotic car and you want to look like you've done this before, remember the toilet story. It's like getting on and off a toilet. You back up and drop. And
Yeah.
if you watch videos of people get out of cars, you'll notice how the ones that do it good, that's the way
Well,
they do it.
since it has roof racks, maybe we'll just lay a blazer across it, and shoot down at the 500 range. What do you think? Right off the
I
rack.
I would think if Lamborghini or Porsche ever wanted street cred and they were going to have to put a rifle on their roof rack, it would have to be a Blaser rifle.
Hey, if you're gonna
I mean,
go
at
first
least
class,
Porsche
you're
would
gonna
have
go
to do a
first
German
class.
Blaser rifle. So Porsche America, if you want to bring a safari here, we have all the hills. I've got trails here. They're minimum 16 feet wide because we had a giant D8 dozer cut them. And dude, you can make one hell of a commercial with your safari. I'll be honest with you, I don't think that Sterrato. I don't think that Sterrato would get to the back of the John 1911 range. I think
No,
that car's too long.
I think I would be hung out to dry if I even ever mentioned it. But
Well, he could spin it up in that front field. I promise. There's no gravel. There's no stones. Nothing
oh,
would get
I
chipped
know,
up.
and
I
we
know.
do have two new trucks in the family and a car trailer. So,
Oh, okay. Um. So,
well, I'm not lying.
hey, speaking of fat asses that can't get in the cars,
Yes.
here's a good segue. Have you seen the story of the rapper who who she I guess she called Lyft to
Yes, I know where you're going. I did see it.
for like a ride. I think it wasn't not DoorDash. It wasn't whatever the other one is. It was Lyft, and this guy showed up. I think in a Honda or a Toyota Prius, and I think it was a Prius. And he was like, "No, no, you can." I think he was Indian, and I'm sorry if he's not. But basically, he's like, "No, no, no, you cannot get in my car." He was complaining that she would bottom out the shocks.
She was
I
like
mean,
380.
she's like 385 or
Yeah.
485 or something, and
Wow.
she's not tall. And she's suing, and she took a picture and made a meme and like whatever, this motherfucker or whatever. And she's a big girl, and it's like I legitimately think, like, I don't know if she could get to the back. And then I guess maybe she's like, I can sit in the front, and he's like, no. But did you hear? So she's been making the rounds. She's got some bullshit shyster lawyers that are taking her case, which is it's just bullshit. I don't know. She's suing for millions, probably. Well, yeah, there's a show called it's on Black Urban Radio called The Breakfast Club. It's got Charlemagne the God on it. We've talked about this show before. So this rapperette, 'cause she's not really famous. She's famous for being fat now. They brought her on the Breakfast Club. Have you seen this story?
No, I know of the network, but I have not seen that story.
So she shows up and they're like, "Yeah, come on in, whatever." And like everybody comes into this show, like they've had, Okay, here's where you've seen this show. Hillary Clinton many years ago was on this show, and they asked her, "What's in your purse?" And she looked at the guy and she goes, "Hot sauce?" Do you remember that? That
No, I
was the
don't.
Breakfast Club. Oh, you do, because they all were like, "What do you mean? Hillary Clinton doesn't have hot sauce in her purse? It's full of shit." And it was one of her like disingenuous Hillary catering, this fake black bullshit that the Clintons would always do. So
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
yeah, it was a big. That's the life cycle of a lot of these political stories is obviously about the life cycle of a fly. So this girl, she shows up and they're like, "Yeah, come on in. You'll be guest number 3, whatever." And they're like, it's a big studio, multiple people. It's got a control room, whatever. It's got cameras. They do audio and video and blah, blah, blah. And she comes in, and they've got these seats. Everybody sits in these seats. Big people, little people, they got all kinds of seats. She can't fit in the seat. She didn't even try, so I can't sit in that. And they're like, "Oh, shit, let's get another chair." They're trying to bring in chairs. They couldn't find a chair anywhere in the studio she could actually sit in. They had to bring a sofa in to the radio studio for her to be able to sit. And they were scrambling because nobody was prepared for this. And it's like, guess what? This is just like the lift guy who showed up. Nobody envisioned or even thought that we needed to make a reasonable accommodation that you can't even sit in a chair in this place. Like, who brings a sofa into a studio?
No one.
And as a segue, this episode of the John 1911 podcast is brought to you by Ozempic. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
No,
Um,
no. You talk about a segue. I was flying once, and I had a person next to me that was so round, they bought two seats, okay, so they could fit.
yeah.
They had their own custom belt extender, and guess who
hmm
had to sit next to them for a 4 hour flight? Let's just say I had my arms up across my body all the way to California. It was crowded even in my seat. His
Were
fat
they
hung over on my armrest.
on two seats?
Yes.
And that's the complaint that the fat people have. Like, look, there's fat. Like, we're all getting older and fatter. I'm fatter now than I've ever been, and it's a problem. Because I haven't really been working that much this year, so I'm not going to sit here and like throw stones at people. You could definitely throw them at me. Um, but these morbidly orca fat people, one of their problems is that they have to spend more money than the average person to function,
Yeah, they got to buy two
and
seats.
and they're like, I don't want to have to buy two seats, and the reason why people don't really clock them too hard on the airplane seat thing is because the airplane seats are stupid small and they're getting smaller. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a lot of these airplane seats are literally, I'm at the bleeding edge of being able to fit in some of these. And it's like, wow. I mean, it's like, holy shit. Like, I mean, it's not even width, it's front to back.
Right,
I
27
mean, it's
inches.
like, yeah, it's like, whoa, like it's like, how is that safe if my kneecaps are going to break slamming into the back of the thing? As I don't know, this isn't something I planned on talking about, but Ozempic is like real popular, and I'm a businessman more than anything. I shoot guns, but I'm a businessman. There's a story in the business circles this week that there was a company called, remember Weight Watchers?
Yes.
Weight Watchers used to be like, is publicly traded on a stock market, been around for, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 years. And it was, at one point, it was worth 1 point something billion dollars on, a market cap. And Ozempic has just crushed it. Between the bariatric surgery and all the different things you can do, now Ozempic, Weight Watchers, they say, is now has a market capitalization of like $67 million. It's gone from over a billion, like 1.3 or 1.8 billion, to now it's worth, like, total market, stock market is like 67 million, and apparently it has a debt load of over $1 billion
Wow.
because, and Novo Vardis, who is the company that makes Ozempic, I think has a market capitalization of over $1 trillion.
And there's a
Um,
shortage. I read that the other day.
Yeah,
People,
because they can't. Here we go. Hold on. So, a 60-year-old company, founded 1963. Oprah, Jessica Simpson, blah blah blah. Oprah's on Ozempic. Jessica Simpson's on Ozempic. Um, Weight Watchers market cap stood at just 64.7 million, and it used to. It used to be worth. I misspoke. It used to be worth, market capitalization, which is the total value of all the stock that is on the stock market, $6.7 billion.
wow.
It's now worth 64.7 million. Ozempic, Novo Nordisk, which is, I think, in Europe, their market capitalization is a total value of all the stock on the stock exchanges is worth $2.6 trillion. Novo Nordisk has a actual street value of 2.6 trillion right now. And
Unbelievable.
yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, You know, I mean, like it's been coming out like these people that they take that Ozempic and like they get the shits, and there's some people like so I think one woman went blind, and then now they're saying it shrinks your brain and it might make you stupid. Like you're like, I don't know. Okay, I mean, I guess, I mean,
They
I
find,
would,
they say that about really anything. They find fault. So I don't mean fault, but accusations of this, that, and the other thing. So they, remember they said that about getting the jab for COVID. They said, about this, about that. It's who knows.
yeah, I mean, there's always going to be some, and things become,
Detractors,
yeah, there's going to be, there's always some statistical chance of certain things. It depends on how much. Like there is if you get the polio vaccine, there's always a statistical chance of one in a 250 million or something that you're going to get polio or something. I don't know. I'm making this up. Don't listen. There's some side effect of some kind that they're like, it's very rare, statistically impossible, statistically unlikely to happen, to ever be a problem, but it is possible. And that's true with most
right?
anything.
Well,
But
before we get into the gun content, I have one little note of politics. Did you see where your buddy Mitch McConnell voted no on every nominee?
did he vote no on everyone?
Uh, the last three or four he did.
Mm, I don't, I mean, Mitch McConnell has really just turned into, you know what?
A
Okay.
spiteful old man.
Well, there's problems with Mitch McConnell. Look, I've always respected Mitch McConnell. I've never been a Mitch McConnell hater. I think when he was majority leader for most of his time, when he was a minority, then back in the majority, he did a lot to get Supreme Court justices, Trump's Supreme Court justices. He did a lot. Like Obama hated Mitch McConnell because Mitch McConnell basically stopped a lot of Obama's worst impulses or that administration's worst impulses. So I'm not going to sit here and, and like totally shit on Mitch McConnell. But there does come a point in your career and in life when you can do or say things and it can ruin your reputation or your legacy. Looking at you, John Murtha, um, Congressman. But at this point, I don't even know if Mitch McConnell is. I don't know how much in control he really is if his staff is running stuff. He may be more debilitated than what people are letting on. Not that there's rumors of that, but he has had a lot of issues. He's been in the Senate for a long time, and the other problem is the governor of Kentucky. Is it Steve Beshear? The last name is Beshear. He's Democrat. So if
Right.
something happens to Mitch McConnell, you can't touch him. You can't force him out. I mean, Republicans can't force him out. So that is what it is. But now I'm going to cross over into my disclaimer here. There was a time in my life when I used to say that, who's the InfoWars guy?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. I used to say Alex Jones was crazy because Alex Jones would say all this crazy stuff. And, it'd be like, oh, come on, like aliens and all this stuff. Alex Jones, like, they're selling baby parts. You'd be like, no, they're shut up. Sure enough, video comes out, they're selling baby parts. Alex Jones, like, Osama bin Laden's going to attack the World Trade Center. Sure enough, Osama bin Laden attacked the World Trade Center. Like, and like we're getting more and more and more where there's like Alex Jones was right about stuff. And I'm not defending Alex Jones, but we're in such crazy land here that I'm starting to wonder. Things are so out of control with the corruption in Washington. Mitch McConnell has a problem, and Trump almost goes there, and he knows it, but he doesn't quite say it. Mitch McConnell's wife is Elaine Chao, and yeah, she's a longtime Republican staple, kind of like Bob Dole's wife.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Dole, she would always get, whenever a Republican would come in office, Elizabeth Dole she'd be transportation or this, or she'd be, the envoy of that or whatever. And Elaine Chao is McConnell's wife, and she's been like transportation secretary 2 or 3 times, or maybe something. And
Right.
I'm not being a dick here, but her name is Chow, Cho. When you see her, she's obviously of Asian descent, and when you look at her, I want you to just remember something: Buy American, trade wars with China, tariffs, trade deficits, cheap products, dumping, undermining the American work, all these arguments over the last 30 years. Mitch McConnell's been in the Senate. Elaine Chow's family owns a very large shipping company, import export shipping company. I think they actually run ships back and forth to China. And there has always been, from the Alex Jones wing of the party, grumblings about Elaine Chao and her, thus, exposure via also her family transferring to Mitch McConnell, that maybe that has played some roles or some effect in maybe certain votes or the way certain decisions were made, or maybe certain bills may have been brought up or not brought up, or things have been derailed or whatever. And we are so out of control with the stuff that the DOGE people are finding. I'm almost holding my breath waiting for shit to come out about this. Because the fact that USAID was giving Bill Kristol money. I used to like Bill Kristol, Republican. Because I generally like old school. I'm an old school Republican generally, other than I curse like a sailor and I really like guns. And I'm so and Kristol's become this anti-Trump douchebag. Basically, you've come to realize that Bill Kristol really isn't interested in winning the Republican side, the conservative side. He really is interested in just maintaining his personal position so he can go to all the right parties and make money. And, and USAID is giving him money. USAID is giving Reuters money. USAID is giving Politico money. USAID is giving money to George Soros and the Ford Foundation. I believe it's Ford. I won't get sued. So I believe, unless I'm misremembering, Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Group. I don't think they've done. I haven't seen Pew Charitable Trust, but I wouldn't be surprised. And you're like, wait a minute. Why does the United States Agency for International Development giving Bill Kristol money? And he's a Republican. I'm like, that's super fucking weird. That is so out of control. You just wait
Oh,
until they
I
dig
fully
into
agree.
Elaine, her family, or something. I'm just like, oh my god, this could be unreal.
Oh,
This could be unreal.
it's gonna be rampant on both sides of the aisle. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised. Yes, the Democrats are doing all the crying and screaming and singing songs about it. I think there's probably, if truth be told, there's might be a few Republicans sweating for what's going to come out. Also,
they have to.
I
I mean, they
agree.
call it
I
the
agree.
uniparty for a reason. I mean, if this is as bad as this is looking, and this is looking very bad, um, there's going to be, yeah, you're starting to really, it's, yeah, I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of Republicans supposed they're going to get burned on this. And and like, and, and the thing is, Mitch McConnell, it makes no sense. Like, I get it, dude. All right. I get it. Like, why would you vote against Pete Hegseth when it all comes down? Why? Why would you do that? What's the point?
Somebody told me.
Okay. RFK Jr., maybe.
Right.
Okay, maybe, I guess. But I mean, it's like, but, and some of it's just like he voted against Tulsi Gabbard. Did he vote against Tulsi
Yes.
Gabbard?
Yes, he did, and Bondi, I believe, to also.
And Bondi. And like, I hate fucking Pam Bondi. And it's like, but I understand why everybody voted for her. I hate Pam Bondi for one reason. I know nothing about the woman other than she was really for aggressive red flag laws. And it's like, fuck you. But at least I can back it up. What the hell is wrong with Pam Bondi that Mitch McConnell is like stopping her.
He's also doing the
Like,
same to Patel.
and it's just like what's going on here? Like, is he in charge of his own faculties? Is he running his office and his votes, or has he become like some of these other decrepit people up there, mostly
Joe
Democrats?
Joe
But
Biden, his
yeah,
his,
I
his
mean,
staff
yeah.
ran the presidency.
Or is he now, or again, I'm going way out here on a limb, and I don't expect to get a letter from Senator McConnell's office, but he's a public figure, and I have questions. But some of these votes are so bass backwards retarded. Part of me wonders if he is having. I have to, if there's a vacuum in the logic, and if there's a vacuum, it's going to get filled with something, and I have to rationalize, or I have to start thinking outside what's going on here. And it's like, does Mitch McConnell having the same problem that Joe Biden had? That
The,
there's corruption so fucked up embedded in his family that he's trying to get across the finish line of his career, his life, and his political power, so that after he's gone or he's out of office, that they're helpless and they get destroyed by history, which is exactly the way to describe the Bidens right now.
I
Is
fully
is is
agree.
that what's going on here, or is it just Mitch McConnell's, it's personal, or Mitch McConnell is just a bitter fuck, or maybe Mitch McConnell is drinking out of a straw, and some 25-year-old intern, really Mitch McConnell's probably, his staff's all 50, but like really running the show. Like,
Right.
some of these I don't understand at all.
Well, we never will.
Um,
I mean, there you go. You're swimming in the swamp. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Well, anyway, you said we had a ton of gun content. What do we got?
we've got some stuff, but uh, well, a couple things. So, like, I started doing some test shooting. I filmed a few things. I'm trying to figure out how to do the cameras, but we've got the Coyote Door. As a matter of fact, let me send you a picture right now so you have an idea what we're talking about. So it looks really crappy here today at the John 1911 range. I'm going to send you two photographs I took on the porch about an hour ago. It's like it's going to rain for like 24 hours and it's going to snow and it's all foggy.
Right.
And, like, I've got working precision rifles that I would take out in the rain, but I've got like collectible stuff that I wouldn't take out in the rain. Well, I have discovered, because I've shot in the rain now, so the Coyote Door, that second floor, I can go up there. I open up the hatch. The hatch opens out. It turns into an awning. I was able to stick my blazer with the suppressor out that window. It wasn't even getting hit by the rain. And I'm up there and I was just shooting at some steel targets. And you know,
With all the comforts of home.
and it's heated up there.
why why
It's we
why didn't
got
you just build a 360-degree spinning cupola
yeah,
with a
well,
gun
I
port?
mean, that would have been a different, that would have been a different inspection, and so the county
Why
never
did you?
knew what
Yeah,
that
why didn't you
was.
mention that to me? Now you'll be
Yeah,
thinking.
it's like, what's that door up on the second floor of your barn? Oh, that's a little hay door. So if in the future anybody wants to run a hay loft, we've already got it installed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
You're really fooling us.
Well, and here's another fun fact too. So, like, when we first built this property, not to get into too much detail, when we first built this property, I guess, well, I guess I can say this. I will, because rumors were coming around. I've talked about this on podcasts, but like rumors were coming around, like, hey, there's these dudes and they're opening up a gun club, and like, people would call or show up like, hey, I want to join your gun club, and how much to join your gun club, and then it turned into, there's this guy up here that's opening up a Blackwater training facility. Like, I'm running a militia or some shit up
Oh
here.
yeah.
And it's like, that was the fucking rumor for a while. And then I got then one, this is early in the construction. I was here and I was doing something, and I got a call from one of my sources in town, and he's like, "Yo, the members of the zoning board are upset because they're hearing rumors about you, or they're coming up to your place to shut you down." And like literally I had about maybe a 30-minute warning. I was like, oh fuck. And so they show up here and they're not friendly. And when they leave, one of them left with a job, and then the other one, it turned out that the rifle range, because we've got different shooting, we've got different things here. The property's large enough that the actual rifle range isn't even in their county. So they were like, "Well, fuck, this isn't even in our county." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, it's not. So it's not. It's not in your county." And then the guy he goes, "Yeah, so yeah, rifle. This is really nice." And he goes, "This is like Hickok 45." And I go, "I don't know what that is." Because they don't know anything about like John 1911 or fucking YouTube, or they know about us as corporate entities, but they don't know. They know about like the SWAT team and the police, but they don't know about our social media. And so it was like, I don't know, I don't know what Hickok 45 is. Is like I even misstated my response. Like I said it as a um, like I didn't say like, oh, I don't know who that guy is. Like I said it as a Hickok 45. I don't know. I've never bought a Hickok 45. What's a Hickok 45? You know what I mean? Because I was really trying to throw him off, and it's like, you
Well,
know.
apparently it worked.
So yeah. So anyway, I got to do some testing up there. Like I'm gonna go up there today. I did some shooting with the Blaser and R8 with in 308, and I've decided I'm gonna switch it to the 7.5
Creedmoor.
Swiss.
Oh,
No,
Swiss.
it's a 7.5 Swiss. It's GP11 ammo, and it turns out it's like whoa. I've got a case and a half left of GP11 ammo, and it turns out now that GP11 ammo is selling for $1,000 or $1,100 a case. I was like, holy shit. Well, I'm not going to buy any more of that at that price until more comes in the country. But it's military ammo from Europe that is made kind of to a match ammo standard, so you can kind of get real good groups out of it. So I'm like, well, I might as well use that ammo up. I don't want to be buying a bunch of precision rifle ammo. So I'm going to be working on that today. Then also today, I brought it out here, and it has never been really it's never been shot, and it's never been really fully shown on our social media, is the French sniper rifle we have. It's an FRF2, so it's surplused out. They were brought in, I think. Old Western Scrounger brought them in, and then we ended up then working with Scrome in France, and Scrome has um, reproduced the original military optic for the FRF2, because when the French government surplused out their rifles, they kept the scopes because one, I think they still wanted to use the scopes on the rifles, and two, I think there was an ITAR restriction because the scope had a reticle in its military technology and it belonged to the military, and so you can't get these scopes. Not that they're special, but you just can't get them. Well, Scrome, so many of these rifles have been surplused. I know they've been surplus in the US. I know they've been surplus in Australia. They may have some surplus in England, but there's enough civilian owners that are like want these things that Scrum in France was like, hey, you know, if anybody in America wants these scopes, we'll make one. And so they, after like a year and a half, the scope came in. I think it was this summer, and I've never mounted it. I've never even really messed with it. So I'm going to probably get that running the next few days. If I don't get it running today, I'll get it running the next few days, and we'll start filming.
Yeah,
Then I have to,
that'll be
yeah,
interesting. I'd like to see that.
and then I have to figure out, because one of the issues I realized is I can film me shooting up there because there's a little bench I had the Amish make. It's not quite big enough, but it's fine. And got a chair up there, and uh, I can film myself shooting, but what I typically do on precision rifle, there'll be a camera on me shooting, and then I have a camera bolted into a spotting scope, and it's looking down range so people can see impacts. Because it's boring just to look at a dude shooting. I can be like, oh, impact, but you don't know if I hit it or not if you can't hear it. Well, one of the issues I can already tell is going to be a problem is the rifle is going to be sticking out of that Coyote Door. Well, for the spotting scope with the camera to be able to see the target from up there, it's going to be have to looking out of that Coyote Door. And that's going to be pretty close to that rifle. And so every time I shoot that rifle, I wouldn't be at all surprised if that camera and that spotting scope suddenly starts vibrating like it, got electrocuted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I
So
know exactly what you mean.
yeah, I would typically be shooting, and then I would set the target camera like maybe 15 feet away. And so it was like, that could be a problem. I may have to put another hole in the barn for a camera.
Yeah.
So
What? This is a terrible analogy, but when you said how you're going to be just shooting off the little stand you got or the Coyote Door or whatever, why does the image of the camp boss of Schindler's List shooting off his porch come to mind?
oh God, that's a terrible analogy. I've never seen the movie, so I don't actually have the visual. But
Oh my God! It's like he was just shooting away off his porch. And I'm thinking myself,
I hear that movie. I hear that movie is horrendous.
it is, it is,
Yeah,
yeah. Build a cupola. Then you.
there's a I don't know why I just do, but there's a Facebook page that I subscribe to that shows photographs of people that were killed in the concentration camps. And like so like it'll like bring like they're all black and white photographs, and they'll be like little kids, like 4 years old, and it'll
Right.
say this is little Heinz, whatever, something, some maybe Jewish name, maybe not. He was 4 years old, born in Munich, whatever, to whatever. He was, sent to Treblinka, and he died, he was killed in like 1944. And like you see these, it's fucking horrendous. You just
Well,
like all these like these little girls and just like these kids.
when
It's like
when
there's a
I
lot of kids.
when I was growing up, the old guy down the street actually was a survivor from a concentration camp, and he immigrated to the United States. He actually showed me and my brother his tattoo serial number on his wrist.
Ugh, yeah.
You don't think that set you back a little bit?
hmm
It was like, oh my God, what those people went through. It was just terrible.
Well, guys of our age, like we grew up with World War II vets. They were everywhere.
Yes.
Veterans, victims, refugees, immigrants. My first contact with a Nazi is really the only real contact, other than like in case you bump into one on the street or something. This is when I learned Nazis lie, and I learned this at a very young age. For some reason, I was very young. A My father knew a guy that was a member of the Hitler Youth. So it was in Germany, and he was, I don't know, he was probably like 10 or something, or 12. And so I don't know if he was part of, like, like you'll see stories at the end of the war where the Nazis, like in Berlin, were giving kids rifles. So he may have been like a little kid, at the end of the war, running around with a rifle, in the rubble, as the Soviets are coming. So he was not like what I would consider like a real Nazi. He was just some kid caught up in all this. But I remember as a kid, he tried to tell me, and I knew he was a lying Nazi. He tried to tell me that chocolate milk came from brown cows because he lived on this farm, and I was like, no, it doesn't. It's like, you lying. It's like my father later was like, yeah, he was a Hitler Youth, whatever. Don't ask him about it. And I was like, well, yeah, because he's fucking lies about chocolate milk come from brown cows. I mean, I may have only been born 8 years ago, but I'm not stupid. It was just like, I know
Uh,
where chocolate milk comes from,
Wait a
lying
minute. Wait a
Nazi.
minute. You mean chocolate milk doesn't come from brown cows?
No, no, no. So apparently you could work at AOC's office. So chocolate
Oh,
milk doesn't come from brown cows. Did you know
well,
that?
yeah, no, I got to look that up. But anyway, anyway, I told you
So,
I have some gun content for you.
well, give me your gun content, then I will give the big news that's going on in gun content. Go ahead, give it to me, baby. I need it.
Okay. A family relative of mine purchased a few years back two brand new VP9s. Well, he knows, that, uh, you know, uh, that I was really looking for a nice 9. So he decided that he's going to give me one.
Really?
Yes, so I'll bring that with us when we come down, and you could teach me the ins and outs of it.
That's cool. Do you know if does it have a push button magazine release or a lever magazine release?
I don't know if it was made within the last couple of years. I mean,
Yeah. Do you know if it's called a VP9B?
no, I don't. He just says he has 2 of them, and he has quite the collection. He goes, "Here, I'll give you one." I said, "Okay." So I have not yet.
How does that work in Illinois?
We have to fill out form after form after form, even through a family transfer.
So you even have to so you have to technically transfer it.
Yes, yes. We don't need to go
Wow.
through the FFL, but we have to put our FOID card numbers and a whole bunch of other stuff. From what I understand, I've never had this happen, but there's
Didn't they just rule that the FOID card in Illinois is
yes,
unconstitutional?
they
Didn't someone?
did. Yes, they did, but it's already been appealed. So um, I actually was talking to an FFL guy the other day, and he says, let's just pretend that we're still living in the People's Republic of Illinois until this gets fully settled.
Yeah,
Because there'll be injunctions, this, that, and all the other
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they're going to issue a stay on this until it can be properly adjudicated. That's real common. So yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So well,
Exactly.
I'll pull out. We have at least one, if not two, VP9s, and my VP9. I like that gun. My VP9 has a lot of rounds through it, so it's got a really nice trigger, even better than like what you'll because you see when you shoot them a lot, they really have nice triggers in them. And the also I've put what the tumble media, not graphite, whatever it's like the stuff that's on skateboard tape, the
I have no idea.
pumice. It's pumice. It's got like we've glued pumice to the grip, so like it's like really sticks in your hand. It'll be interesting for you to hold it and shoot it compared to yours. So it's on my to do list to maybe get it cut for a red dot. I actually got some stuff over at the machine shop, and they cut a lot of red dots for our acquaintances. I'm not going to say who
Oh, I
because
know.
they probably shouldn't. But um, I mean, I it's make an argument
Now,
to
is
do that.
that
So
is that regular 9, or is it 9 millimeter Luger, or is there different? I don't know.
regular 9 and 9 millimeter Luger is the same.
Okay.
So
And
9 millimeter Parabellum, 9 millimeter Luger, 9x19, and what I would call American 9 millimeter are all the same caliber.
okay. And you have plenty of those
So,
at the range, or should I bring some?
oh no, I've got, dude,
Okay. Well, I'm,
dude,
because remember, I'll be going, through 3 states, so
yeah,
it'll be broke
no,
down, with no
yeah,
ammo.
yeah, yeah. You don't worry about the, yeah. I got
All
you, I
right.
got you.
I figured
We
you
got
would.
we got the ammo here. It's not a problem. So yeah, and that's a legitimate question because especially if you're like new to guns, because there's so many different versions of what became, the Germans. Here's another. You can also call it 9 PO8 9 millimeter because it was standardized by the Germans in 1908, and they call it the PO8 that caliber. And so as it kind of moved around the world, it gets called by a bunch of different things. And so the safest way to refer to it as a caliber is 9x19 because it's nine millimeters wide, 19 millimeters long. Whereas there's like 380 is a 9 millimeter with bullet, but it's a shorter round and it's a less powerful round. And so it's called 380 in the United States. In Germany, it's called 9 millimeter Kurz, KURZ, or 9 millimeter short. So I know a guy many years ago who bought I think it was a Walther PPPK or something, one of those type of guns, and he thought it was 9 millimeter, and then he found out it was 9 millimeter Kurz, and he goes Kurtz, and he goes, that's a hard caliber to get. I'm not dicking with this. And so he took it back, and they took it because like I thought this was 9mm. This is 9mm Kerrs, and it's like, well, 9mm Kerrs is 380. So it's like he didn't even know. He thought 9mm Kerrs, unless I'm mistaken. I think 9mm Kerrs is 380 Hertz. So it's like, yeah, that is not, that question is a very common question.
Let's see.
Um,
Well, especially from the chief political correspondent that doesn't know jack shit about it. That's why I
Not
asked.
bad, not bad. Those are nice guns. So are you going to shrink it down for Mrs. Danny, or have you know how
No,
to do
no,
all that?
no. She's got a promise from a friend of ours about a 22 mag, and she's looking forward to that.
It's the 22 mag is the ammo's here, and the gun is not here, but it will be when she gets here. So it's locked up right now. But yeah, we got the 22 mag for her. So
Good.
um, I was going to talk about, there's a gun. So I had talked about this a little bit. I know we're going long, but this is going to be a longer podcast. Staccato has their new gun, which is called the P4, and I've talked about it before. And if you watch Staccato's promotional video talking about this gun, it's basically a confession on how bad the 2011 is. Um, and again, only I would say that because I don't like 2011s. But if you look at it if you look at it the right way, you're like, oh shit, because they're a 2011 company, and it's like, here's everything that's wrong with 2011s, and we fixed it with this gun. And so, again, in theory, this gun should be fantastic because it gets rid of a lot of the problems. Well, you still have to test guns, and you have to iterate them. And apparently, the P4 is having some issues. Apparently, people there's some ammo. It might be ammo sensitive. There's feeding issues. Apparently, it doesn't run well with Glock magazines. It runs well with the aftermarket steel magazine that you made with the gun. And, but one of the arguments is it accepts Glock magazines, but it's like, well, the plastic Glock magazine isn't, I would consider, the best magazine, because one of the issues with the plastic Glock magazine is, especially if running in a plastic body, is it may not drop free as easily, and you lose capacity because how thick the plastic is with the liner. And so there's that issue. There's apparently issues with it. It's cutting people or wearing people in their hand because it's got this weird shape in the back. And apparently some people are complaining that when they're running the gun, they're knocking the safety on when they're running it, and that's causing a problem. But they should be riding the safety, but maybe the ergonomics, they can't ride the safety. So for all the people, all the hoo-ha of people saying how great this gun's going to be, there seems to be some teething problems. I'm not that surprised, um, because I'm a big Staccato made this gun. It really, to me, is them trying to make an X9, the Wilson X9 gun, because that's Wilson's answer to the 2011 problems. But Wilson didn't just invent the X9 out of thin air. Wilson did do double stack 45 guns back in the day. And then Wilson, this was 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Wilson came out initially with a double stack, high capacity, 9mm, 1911 type of gun. And it got all the splash in the media, and it was called the Spec Ops 9. And I remember seeing that gun being like, damn, like it's a lot of money, but I really want to get a hold of one of those. And I'll find one, and I'll see one in the store, and I'll mess with it, and I'll decide, and that maybe that'll be the gun. And I guess Wilson, not ever having even seen the gun or shot the gun, Wilson eventually discontinued the gun because I think they were having some issues with it. I don't recall specifically. I think it was Wilson obviously learned some lessons from the Spec Ops 9, and so when they did the X9, I don't think Wilson's ever publicly acknowledged that. I'm sure they wouldn't refute it, but my point is, Wilson didn't just knock it out of the park with their X9 guns first time at the plate, and one wonders if Staccato doing their version of the X9, which is the P4, but I think it's got radial lugs on the barrel, which is disappointing. They may have to have a couple generational updates to get that gun to work quite right. And I think also, I will tell this to people who want to shoot this gun because it takes Glock magazines and then it kind of does and kind of doesn't. You're seeing some vindication as to maybe the decision why some companies who do modern guns don't use Glock magazines, because there is an angle issue and the design issue. There's a better magazine design. So like, Wilson, when they did their X9 gun, they didn't make that magazine from the ground up. They took the Walther PPQ magazine, which is basically a design clone, sister, very close copy of the VP9. Or you can make an argument that the VP9 is a copy of. Well, how does this go? So there's the HKP30, which is their hammer fired gun, and then Walther copied the HKP30 and made it very similar. Made the Walther PPQ, which is a striker fired gun, and then uses that magazine. And then H&K took the P30, was a hammer fire gun, and made that into the VP9, which is the gun you have now.
Right.
So like the mag tube between, like, I mean, they're not that far apart. And like there's, Wilson decided on that PPQ mag tube because it's such a well designed mag tube, and they use that, and they changed the follower and changed some stuff. So you can't use a Walther PPQ magazine in a VP9, or I mean in a Wilson EDCX9. But economy of scale, they could get the tubes from Metgar or whoever's making those. I mean, it's not like they have to start from the ground up with some crazy new mag design. And this is not even like Hudson, when they did their H9, which was a flaming dumpster fire failure. Well, they decided to start that gun. They weren't going to make a magazine from the ground up, because magazines are what really are hard to do, and they kill guns if they don't work right. They started with the Smith & Wesson, I think it was the 59 series, the old Smith & Wesson 59 series, the original Wonder 9 mag tube for that gun. So my advice to people, unless you absolutely have to have the P4, I would wait, let other people go. I like many of you. I think what's the guy's name? Ben Steger is going to get one, and Ben Steger is a super, super, super high round count guy because of his training schedule and his shooting schedule, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And maybe the guns just need a break in. So, but I would say don't go first with the P4. So that's anyway, that's all I got to say about that. So. You ready to do the plotter, the police blotter, and get out since we've been going for a while?
We've been, holy cow, we've been going for a good time.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. So the first one I got is this one comes out of, let me bring up the thing on the phone so I can get it here. So the first one comes out of Texas. This was sent to us by, I'm not gonna say the listener. So there's a woman by the name of Christy Carlson. I guess she was on Disney, and she voices over Kim Possible. I think she's a retired actress or Hollywood type. Former child star is what it says. So Christy Carlson Romano shot in the face.
Oh,
Um, yeah, well, it's not as bad as you think, but it's still pretty bad. On November 18th, Los Angeles, California, former Disney child star Christy Romano was actually shot in the face while on a trip with her husband and another party. She was hit in the face in five places. One was less than an inch from hitting me directly in my right eye. She was shooting sporting clays in Texas. And the article is calling it sporting clay pigeons because they don't know what to call it. But apparently, another group did something with the gun, pointed it at her, and shot her. In the video, she showed where the bullet struck her in the eye and said the fragment is too risky to remove surgically at this time. Yeah, here's the thing, and we're going to post pictures of this on the website. And I think she may have been wearing eye protection, but when you look at where one of these pellets has landed, I mean, you definitely want to be thinking about wearing eye pro. And it also reminded me of something else too. I see people shooting sporting clays a lot. They're not wearing eye pro, and most of the time you get away with it. But there is a phenomena that's known where bird shot, because the sporting clay bird is round, a piece of bird shot can go up under into the sporting clays, and what it'll do is it'll ring around inside, like it'll just go, and it'll literally come back at you at 180 degrees and come back at the shooter. It's pretty
Wow.
rare. Yeah, and it's like I never ever shoot sporting clays without wearing eye pro. Because I mean I've seen shit bounce off of trees and stuff, and so something to think about. So we have that's the first one out of Texas. The second story is out of Munich, Germany, and the let's see what how it was reported. It was like it's a mass casualty terrorist attack in Munich. There's a Munich security conference going on.
I
That's
seen
where all
that.
the that yeah that happens. You know that's kind of a big deal. So, but they reported it as potential asylum seeker.
Yeah, wasn't a Pakistan, Afghanistan guy or Pakistani or something?
I don't know. It was like potential asylum seeker involved in bad car accident or something, or and it was like, oh, you mean it turns out the guy's it might be from Afghanistan. He's Muslim. I think he hit 26 people possibly, and he was praying and yelling Allahu Akbar at the end of it, and it's just like
An asylum
asylum
seeker.
seeker.
Yeah.
Here we go. Asylum seeker who drove in a Munich crowd is an Islamist, police say. So now injured 36 people and deliberately, but the way this is originally reported, and it's like, how's that song go from the Super Bowl? They ain't like us from the halftime show. I'm just quoting a song. I'm not really sure what I'm saying, but they ain't like us is a song, and I don't know if that covers it or not. The third one comes out of Rome, and this was at St. Peter's Cathedral. There is it turns out they're saying they're reporting the guy is Romanian, um, but they're not saying any more than that. So maybe he's an asylum seeker that lives in Romania. I don't know. But in St. Peter's Cathedral, a guy jumped up onto the tomb of St. Peter and started tearing stuff up and trying to destroy things. And eventually, security came and took him away. He's wearing a backpack. He's literally standing on the tomb and he's throwing stuff around. I've been where this man is, and as a Catholic, I'm not saying I'm a good Catholic. I'm not going to say I'm a practicing Catholic, but I am Catholic. And if I had seen this, I'd have jumped up there and beat the fucking piss out of this motherfucker. And I was embarrassed that nobody went up there and stopped this because they had to wait for the police to come. And I'm just like,
I've heard that the basilica is beautiful. I've never got to see
oh,
it.
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you just can't believe how. I mean, so but anyway, we'll post pictures up of that. And so, you know, because it's cool to crap on Christians and it's cool to crap on Catholics. Not that there isn't good reason to sometimes, or they haven't asked for it. I'm not saying that, but it's like, you know, this person is Romanian and pilgrims, and it's amazing to me where I don't know. I just feel like if this person was named Marky and he ran the John 1911 website, that his entire byline would have been up there about everything I've ever said and done.
That's it.
But this guy's just some random Romanian man, and he's not blonde. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is. I mean, he just could be just some crazy guy. There's tons of crazy guys. The thing is, in defense of the other side, if you ever go to Jerusalem, if you ever go to Washington, if you ever go to Red Square, you ever go to Tiananmen Square, you ever go to the White House, you're very likely to meet Jesus. You'll probably meet three or four of them because it attracts crazy people. I guarantee, if you go to these places, you will meet Jesus because there's always like five of them walking around thinking that they're Jesus.
Wow.
And so these types of high profile places attract. It's like moss to a flame. And so I don't know what the story is here. I don't know what the backstory is, but it just gave me an opportunity to say, if I had been there, I would have looked to my left and looked to my right to make sure me and mine, like, it doesn't look like there's other people attacking, or like we need to evacuate, and I would have run up there, I'd have jumped up on that thing, and I'd have knocked a guy right off that too.
Well, that's the problem nowadays. So many people won't get involved because they're afraid of any kind of a repercussion. There's no
Hey,
morals anymore.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is having a Vatican mugshot would be a badge of honor.
No, and
Well,
you could
this
wear
wraps
you
up
could wear it in the hallway just like Trump does at the White House.
my Vatican mugshot would be off the chain. This wraps up episode 365 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any more stories or pictures and links to anything we discussed, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.